Taseh, ובזכות הנקע כסבך שיבה עשה. צדיק בכל דרכיו עצור תמים, ערך הפעם מלא רחמים, חמונה וחוסנה על אבות ובנים, כלך אדון הסליחות ורחמים. צדיק אתה אדוני לעמית ולחיות, אשר ביחד פקדון כל רוחות, חלילה לך זכרוננו למחות. יונך ברחמים עלינו וכוחות, כלך אדון רחמים והסליחות. אדם מבין שנה יהיה 1000 שנים יחיה, מה יתרון לו כולו היה יהיה, ברוך דיין האמת ממית ומחיה. ברוך הוא כי אמת דינו משוטט הכל בעינו, משלם בידו חשבונו ודינו, והכל לשמו הודיה ייתנו. ידענו אדוני כי צדק משפטיך, תצדק בדוברך ותזכה בשופטיך, בין להרהר אחר מידת שופטיך, צדיק אתה אדוני וישר משפטיך. דיין אמת שופט צדק באמת, ברוך דיין האמת שכל משפטיו צדק באמת. נפש כל חי בידיך, צדק מלא ימינך, רחם על פלט הצאן ידיך, ותאמר למלך ערך ידיך. גדול עצה, רב עלילי אשר הנחת בכוחות על כל דרכי בני אדם, לתת איש כדרכיו, וכפי מעלליו להגיד כי ישר אדוני, צורי ולא אבלת לבוא. אדוני נתן ואדוני לקח, בשם אדוני מבורך. רצוי יכפר אבות ולא ישחית ולא לשיבתו ולרתוך עמתו, ומקומו יבוא בשלום. I'd like to begin our service in loving memory of Avron Shore with the recitation of Psalm 23, which is considered the psalm of comfort in the Jewish tradition. I'll first read it in Hebrew and then in English. If you know it either way, feel free to join me. Mizmor LeDavid. Adonai ro'i lo echsar. B'nodeshi yarbitzeni. Amei menuchot yinahaleni. Nafshi yeshovev. Yancheni v'ma'aglei tzedek, l'ma'an shemo. Gam ki yelech begeit salmavet, lo irara ki ata imadi. Shivtecha umishantecha, heima yenachamuni. Taroch l'fanai shulcha neged sorarai, dishanta v'shemen roshi, kosi revaya. Achtov v'chesed yirdafuni, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai. L'orech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He has me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He guides me on paths of righteousness. He revives my soul for the sake of his glory. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod do comfort me. You set a table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in the house of the Lord forever. And let us say, Amen. Amen. I'm going to call upon Avron's niece, Amy, to share a few reflections at this time.
You're my largest audience.
Are you recording? Yeah.
It's rather surreal to be standing here talking about my Uncle Avron. And I know that all of you are here and knew him and loved him as much as we did. He was a real, a staple, I'd say, in Midtown Toronto. Many of our friends have commented to Aaron and I how sad they are and how much they'll miss bumping into him. I think that Avron ran into everybody. I actually said to the rabbi yesterday, who doesn't know him like we do, I said, you don't understand. He's been retired since he was 46 and he's hung out in the Forest Hill Village and at UB. Everybody knows him. And we will miss seeing him there very, very much. I took great pride in being Avron's niece. He loved us, he loved my brother, he loved his other nieces and nephews very much, and he loved all of our children very, very much, and he loved his children and grandchildren, or those who were on the back of his business card from the Weinberg family. And we love them for taking such good care of him for so many years, along with us. Avron lived with very strong values, and whatever his values were, he stuck to it. And he worked hard for what he believed in. And he stuck to his word. And he believed in people, and he believed in relationships, and he believed in Judaism, and he believed in Israel, and he worked for those things. In addition to being a devoted friend and a devoted uncle and a devoted brother, I think he was proudest of being a devoted son. And he visited my Bubby Goldie daily. And I think he's with her, and I think he's happy to be with her. And even when she left us, he kept on visiting his nurses and his friends and other people at Castleview Witchwood who didn't have people to visit them, because he knew how important it was to him and how important it was to them, and he believed strongly in that Jewish value. I remember once as a teenager, I wanted to go and see Phil Collins in concert. He was going to be in Toronto. And Ellen and I asked for tickets because Avron had convinced us that he could get us and do anything we wanted. We just had to ask. So we asked the day of, not just for tickets, but for front row tickets, because he claimed to know Phil Collins' manager. They'd climbed a mountain together once in Arizona. So we weren't sure about his connections. But sure enough, he came through. He stuck to his word, because that's what he did. I don't know how he got those tickets, but he got them, and we went to the concert, and it was really good. Avron did what he said, and he thought what he felt, always. I often remember Avron in my own moments of impatience. I have his voice running through my head, and I know I'll hear him for the rest of my life because I'm often impatient and I hear him. Again, I was with Ellen. It was probably the late 80s. Microwaves were new. Ellen was moving into an apartment, and she needed to have one, and he needed to get it for her. So we were at the Eden Center in the parking garage, walking on the bridge to the 4th floor where the appliances are sold. And before we even entered the doors, he started yelling, "Is there someone here to help me?" So in my own moments of impatience, I always hear him in my head, and I'll continue to hear him in my head. I'll miss going to the Forest Hill Village and going to UB with high hopes of seeing him. If you're there and you see me and you also wish you saw him, you can say hi to me. I'll miss the excitement my children had when he came for dinner, often with little gifts for them. I will miss very much having him at our Yontiv table. It will feel empty this year. We will miss him, and we won't forget him. I pray that he's in a peaceful place and will continue to shine kindness and generosity upon all of us and all that he loved in special little ways, much like he did when he was here with us. Avron, I love you very, very much.
We'll also hear now from Jeffrey Weinberg.
My mother wrote the first paragraph. And so it began on Acton Avenue the year 1958 in March. My mother needed a babysitter. For me, I was 5 months old. She called a neighbor who was referred to her from across the street. Sima Shore wasn't home, but a young boy answered. He said, "I'm Sima's younger brother. My name is Avron, and I'm old enough to babysit." He's 15. So in exchange for homemade lemon meringue pies, Avron became our babysitter. Did we adopt him, or vice versa? We became a family. And now here we are, 54 interesting years later, and we have all shared our lives together. As a babysitter, he was as much of a kid as we were. There were great shaving cream fights on Acton Avenue, and for years, none of us could eat a piece of cake without it ending up all over our face. For our bar mitzvahs, Avron took the 3 of us to Las Vegas. He also took Tina later on. We made a point of calling him Dad. which had a predictable effect on all the women he was constantly meeting. He must have forgiven us because he took all 4 of us back to Vegas for a 30-year reunion. That was Avron. When times were good, he loved to share it with us. Avron was always there if you needed him. If you were sick, you got a phone call. On birthdays and anniversaries, he always called and made plans to go out. He also loved to go out with all the Weinberg and Singer grandchildren. They always enjoyed having Zadie Avron as an important part of their lives. His life was filled with ups and downs. He had multiple business successes and a few setbacks, but that is what made Avron who he was. He was a person with big ideas, and many times they came through. Avron basically retired in his 40s. By then, he had made some money, traveled the world, and lived a full life. As he got older, he became much more involved in Judaism and the shul. He was a fixture at the Minyan for years. When he eventually wanted to move on from Beth Shalom to resign, they would not accept it. His absence was missed, and everybody wished he would come back and enthusiastically greet the members saying Kaddish, as he had for years. Avron himself was lucky to have his brother Jerome and my mother Sandy to help him through any rough patches he had. Avron was full of life, and he will be missed. Everyone in heaven, especially the women, better look out. Avron is coming.